This is a very scary story. There are 2 parts. Here is part 1. The name of the story is Gambler the Whisper. When I was a girl, from the ages of 5 to 12, our family would drive to my grandfather's home in the country twice a year. I look back on those memories of the long drive from the city to the country with fondness. It was wonderful to leave the hustle and bustle of the city and break into the flat open spaces, farmers' fields, with distant green mountains filling the horizon. About 1 hour from the city, everything changed. My parents moved with lift, the ever-present muttering and swearing from my father disappeared. He always complained about driving in the city, but once the country air hit his lungs, and the open roads filled his field of view, not one sound escaped his lips. My mother changed too. With the sun gleaming through the windows, my mother would search the car radio channels, doing her best to find a song that fit her jubilant mood. Despite a love of my parents and happiness to escape the city, I didn't like going to my grandparents' home. There was nothing to do there, it was all dirt roads and empty fields. There was nothing to indulge the interest of a young boy. Most of the people that lived there were old, gray and white-haired, and bent backs, toiling in the sun. Any idea I had it running amok in the farmers' crops was immediately put to rest with one hard glaring look of a local producer. So, I spent my time hanging around my grandparents' house. My grandparents lived in a very old house that has been in our family for generations. For 150 years someone from my family had resided in this house. It was ancient and sturdy. The foundation was made from black basalt, dark granite. The walls were made with stacked timber, replaced every 33 years from the forested mountains that surrounded the valley where the house was built. It was only 1 floor and was built around a courtyard in the shape and uppercase letter C. On the left side of courtyard was the kitchen and food storage. My grandmother spent most of her time here and delicious smells filled the air whenever I visited. She spoiled me and always passed me a tasty treat whenever my mother wasn't looking. Food is always more delicious when it's taken secretly. The center of the house was the common room and dining room, and this is where all the adults congregated, talking loudly and boisterously, drinking until the early hours of the morning. I never felt comfortable hanging around adults, so I would spend almost all my time in the right section of the house. The section held all the bedrooms and entryway into the cellar. When we visited my grandparents' house, other family members would join as well, and there was very little room to sleep. As a result, I always ended up with a sleeping bag sitting on top of the floor hatch to the cellar.